I'm not sure Xron was remotely ready for that one because he got hit and then re-peaked. It was so speed.
It was so fast, unbelievable. DreamHack stringing together some more shots. The teleporter's going to be used. DreamHack's going to guess on that one. Tries to pick him up out of the skies. Xron looking to hide the tribal. It's going to hurt, surely.
How do you escape this
What?
situation? Xron finds a way! How the hell did he survive that one, dude?
Alright, so today I'm with Xron, who's a professional Quake Champions player from Ukraine, who's had some very impressive results ever since, well, basically the start of Quake Champions esports. So he's had some very consistent top 8 in every game mode that we had tournaments on so far. So let's get at the details. So in team modes and sacrifice, he won the QuakeCon 2017 World Championship. Then when it switched to 2v2, he got top 4 at DreamHack Tours, top 8 at the QuakeCon Open 2018, and top 8 again at DreamHack Winter 2018. And in Duel, he got top 8 at the QuakeCon 2017, also at DreamHack Winter 2017. And he's won a bunch of online tournaments, the first B18 Invitationals, one season of the Quake Open Elite, sorry. He got top 8 at the Italian Open, and he also got top 5 recently at QuakeCon 2019. Sorry. Alright, so that was a lot. A lot of things to say to show that you are a very impressive player. Who's got, I mean, really incredibly consistent results as well. I wanted to start this interview by asking the question that I always start with, which is the origin of the nickname. And because before you tell me the origin of your nickname, what I'm curious of is that while making some researches about you, I found out that according to the website Players Earning, that you used to go by the name DJ Jesus. Is that true?
So first of all, hi to everyone. Thank you for inviting me for interview. It was a very nice speech. I enjoyed it.
I'm glad you did.
So, yeah, at some point when I was a kid, I signed for one of the Quake Live tournaments under such nickname. That's it. Like, it was just one kind of nickname. I don't even remember why it was. It was just some joke between friends or something. Like, that's it.
All right. So yeah, tell me, what's the origin of your nickname? Xron, but how do you pronounce it?
Okay, so originally it's just Xron. It's a word that I just liked the way it sounds.
All right.
It's like in the Russian language, they're like I don't even know how that food is translated, like Xron or like хронический. I just like the sound Xron, and for some reason I stick to it. And correct pronunciation is Xron.
Xron. All right.
Xron, yeah.
Xron.
But I know it's pretty painful for most of like players, casters to pronounce it. So I'm saying like you can call me however, I don't mind. But yeah, correct one is Xron.
Xron. All right. Okay, that's awesome. So you became really famous with your victory at in Sacrifice in the first big Quake Champions tournament in 2017, as you were part of the team 2Z. With Clawz, Latromi, and Silencep. So how did that team come together?
So it all became pretty random, even like how my career in Quake Champions started. So I was always just playing Quake Live for fun and playing some online tournaments here and there, and like pretty much the only achievements I had were sometimes winning map out of top players like Evil, Kilsen, but like never anything big and never like any LAN or something, because when I started to play, Quake Live already pretty much had only QuakeCon and nothing else. So, but I knew Clawz. We used to play with him a lot of H1Z1 at that time, and he was gathering team for QuakeCon, for that QuakeCon, because everyone was saying it's gonna be big and so on, and he gathered team with Silencep, Latromi, and Strengths. He like wanted always to play with Silencep because it's his friend and he's like awesome in team games. He picked Latromi because Latromi was probably best like CIS player in team modes at the end of Quake Live. from Team 102, and Strengths was I don't know how he picked him, but like they were always a good friends, and they played Overwatch together and so on. So that was originally their team, and I was just playing some sacrifice pugs or TDM pugs when just Quake Champions came. Like was playing with pretty much other people, because Latromi didn't even play Quake Champions when it was released, and same goes to Silencep, and they all didn't even touch the game until QuakeCon was announced or something, so they were pretty behind, I would say, even though they're all mechanically gifted. And I was already grinding and playing all the time, and I even was invited by Demon, I think, to his team before QuakeCon, but I said like, there is like no announcement, I don't really want to commit time to practice because I don't even know what for we are practicing, and also I didn't even know like can I get visa or something because I didn't have job or anything, and it's like always a painful process in CIS countries. So, but then after some time they announced 1 million prize pool, and Clawz is just saying to me that like Kevin, which is Strengths, went to shower, can you play with us few games in Sacrifice? So I said okay, and we started to play, and they were like not really experienced in Sacrifice, I would say. And overall in Quake Champions, like Latromi didn't even know anything. He was like, when everyone was already like level 40, 50, like in this in-game progression, he was like level 2 or 3, he like didn't even play game at all, so it was like we had to explain to him how the game even works. But we started to get some good results versus team which were already practicing for a few weeks. And best thing was that we just played versus, back then it was Team Dignitas, or not Dignitas, but whenever it was team with Garpy, Hell, maybe it was Myztro, but I think back then they were called Dignitas. And we also played versus team of Too Good, and we were losing to them really hard. But after that time I subbed Strengths, guys told me that, look, we like playing with you, we're gonna like split our ways with Strengths because we didn't feel like it's good between us. And they pretty much just invited me to team, and I said okay, let's do it. And of course I already knew back then that it's big prize pool, so I took it seriously. And yeah, that's how we started to play. And after losing like to team of Too Good and like Garpy, 3 days later we started to win all of them except team of Noctis. And we knew that okay, it's a good result because team of Noctis were really talented and they played already for a long time in the game. It was team of Noctis, Stermi, Faz, and Tox, and we were losing only to them. And then that team went to these exhibition matches on E3 or somewhere in America, and they left Europe for like 10 days. And these 10 days we were grinding really hard. And when they came back, we started to sometimes win maps against them and so on. And we decided, okay, we're on the right track, and we just stick together and kept practicing hard.
All right. So one thing I'm quite curious about is in one of the interviews that you did, when talking about this period, when you started grinding Sacrifice before QuakeCon 2017, that you guys were playing like 4 hours a day for 2 to 3 months, and it seemed like you were doing some really serious practice. And it sort of surprised me because from what I've seen, Clawz seems to be the type of guy that doesn't like to practice that much. So I was wondering, was there somebody in the team that was like the leader and that was kind of pushing everybody to go practice, or was it something that just came naturally and everybody was motivated, everybody was playing and going to the scrims?
Back then everyone was motivated and everyone was happy, and the reason we played 4 hours per day is because Latromi had a full-time job. So he was telling to us, guys, I have free time from this time to this time, and we had always to spend this time playing. And after we were done with scrims, usually we were like still talking in the voice with Silencep and Clawz like about game, and I think everyone was on the right track and everyone was practicing. And yeah, Clawz doesn't like practicing, but he doesn't like practicing Duel. Back then he played a lot of Sacrifice, and back then we were playing really a lot.
So one thing that I was also really surprised of is the fact that Clawz won the tournament, and he said that he barely practiced Duel, and he actually managed to win very convincingly at this QuakeCon, even though it was a very stacked tournament. So how would you explain that? Because Sacrifice is, I mean, very different to Duel still. So how do you explain this? Like practicing Sacrifice making you a better Duel player?
I think first of all, that QuakeCon was on kinda new game, which if I watch what's back about then, I feel that everyone played really bad, like because no one knew what's best, like how to play. The level of play was really low back then because game was fresh. And I think because we played a lot of team play, in team play you are constantly fighting, playing different champions, so you kinda study game faster. And I think that helped Clawz, and overall I think team players were doing better in Duel initially, like Noctis did really well, Tox did really well, Wu, he also played Sacrifice, that's why I think he did really well. Clawz, I personally lost to Clawz on that QuakeCon, so maybe if I would be in other side of bracket I could have gone like far. And I think that team players had really big edge over duelers in the beginning of Quake Champions because simply they were more like knowledgeable about game and just knew how to play better.
Alright. So one thing I'm curious about is that there are indeed some players that really seem to manage to be very good in both Duel and team modes, such as yourself, such as Clawz, such as Rapha, such as actually most of the players that we know in Quake Champions. But there are some players that seem to be extremely good in team games, but that in Duel seem to struggle a bit more. I think like in Quake Live there's this the guy CZM, I believe his name is, that from what I've heard was extremely good in TDM, but that never made it that far in Duel. And in Quake Champions we've got Silencep, for example, who's got with you, who was part of your team and won the Sacrifice 2017 World Championship, that made it to the final of DreamHack Tours and had some other great results in team modes, but that seems to never have made it that far. So do you think there's a reason behind that some players seem to be really good in team modes but struggle in Duel?
I think it's purely based on motivation and kind of mental game, in my opinion, because I also can't call myself a dueler until now when I'm like professional dueler, and I always preferred like team modes over Duel because I simply found practicing team modes more fun. Like time goes faster, you always can do some crazy things with teammates. It doesn't even matter it works or no, but you always can be like having fun and creating some crazy things. Yeah. And in Duel it's kinda not that much about fun, like about just grinding same things over and over again. Like you have to play methodical, you have to do same things over and over again. It feels like amount of creativity is not that big. It's more about consistency and like solid plays. And I think that just a lot of players, at least Silencep, I feel he just not like, I think he can be good in Duel if he will like push himself to like only play Duel, like grind it hard, but I think you only can be good at something which you like doing, and I think he just doesn't like it. That's why he can't push that gap for himself.
Yeah, alright. So another thing I was wondering, you were talking about the fact that when you watched back the VODs from the QuakeCon 2017, you feel like the level of play was way lower. So in what way do you feel like 2 years later the level of play got better? Well, what are the main differences that you see in the same players 2 years ago compared to now?
I think it just pretty much experience, maps. You also, like back then, nobody knew even how spawn system works and so on, pretty much except us. I think that was like, I think one of the reasons why we managed to overcome other people. We just study game better. Now everyone already know what's the spawns, what's like best weapons, what to do here and there, like how to counterplay this or that ability. Like another example can be Clutch of the Hang on DreamHack Winter in Duel. He pretty much just nobody knew how to deal with Clutch, right, at that point. but right now people already know how to deal with it, or they at least banning it. Like it's just, I think in every like new game, like with time level increases just because it's healthy competition and level always increase.
No. So going back to Sacrifice in the QuakeCon 2017 that you won, I'm curious, it must have been quite something for you, because you weren't one of the OGs of Quake. You weren't like Rapha or cooler, and so you really became known throughout this tournament, throughout this victory. And actually that can be said for the whole of your team. The 2Z, every member of 2Z at the time weren't that famous before winning this tournament, compared to all the legends that also took part in this tournament. So I'm wondering, it must have been quite something. You're going from unknown to being world champions of Quake, and finding yourself with such crazy amount of hype, and also yeah, the amount of money and all that must have been quite a change for you. How was it?
It was just some kind of nice feeling, and it's hard to explain. It's just nice feeling to win, like to be best at something. But still, like after time, it just like remains as a good memory, and that's it. Like you need to keep playing, keep trying to win some new tournaments and so on. But yeah, back then it was something big, and I think it changed us a lot, and probably not in the best way, since after QuakeCon we didn't practice pretty much at all. We missed Denver because Latromi had job, Clawz didn't want to travel. It's like it's already some slacking started, like it's not important, this, and so even though it was magical moment, which was really nice and good, but it kind of hurted our team, I think, and like our ability to practice, because as I stated before QuakeCon, we practiced really hard, and before DreamHack Winter we had schedules that we play one game per week or 2 weeks, like one set of scrims, like 2 hours, just to maintain form, and then before DreamHack Winter, 2 weeks we gather and we start playing again. And when we started like playing again before DreamHack Winter, it was obviously not same. Like we didn't have like advantage over other teams as much as before, and we clearly had issues which we didn't fix in time. So from money and all the fame point of view, I'm happy with how the QuakeCon went, but I'm pretty sad that it's kind of affected our like mentality and our work ethic and so on. But it's a good experience anyway.
So from what I've seen, according to Clawz, communication was a bit difficult in 2Z. Because I was watching a few days ago a video of Navi, because for those that don't know, Clawz is now part of the Navi team for Apex Legends. And he was talking about communication. He was saying that he doesn't want to be tilted anymore, because apparently he got enough tilt. Well, he didn't say it openly, but he said, like, back when I was with a team with a Dutch, a Ukrainian, and a Russian, and he said that the tilting thing was that they didn't know in which language to talk. So how was it for you? Was it also quite difficult for you? Because, well, I mean, you seem to have very good English. I guess it wasn't too much of a problem for you. But what was like the language barrier in this team?
Yeah, we had a lot of issues with Latromi because his English weren't that good, and when things were going wrong in practice, he could just switch to Russian and start like talking about some problems that we did in game, and then like we had to calm him down and explain, man, let's because we had always Exodus recording our VODs, so we can after the games watch and look what we did wrong. But we like Latromi is very, I don't know how to say, but he's very explosive guy. So like when something wrong, he like straightly say it to your face if he doesn't like it, and he's like starting conflict while we're mid game, and that's probably what Clawz meant in that interview. But in the end, like we always talked about things, and Latromi always were apologizing for his behavior, because he always said to us that he's like that, he can't stop it. But on LAN tournaments, he never was like causing any problems. On LAN tournaments, like Latromi was always best teammate.
All right, that's good to hear. So after the DreamHack Winter 2017 tournament, we didn't hear much from EZ. So sorry, what I'm saying, 2Z, and so I was surprised. I don't remember seeing like an announcement or anything. I mean, to be fair, in the first place, 2Z wasn't like, from what I remember, that much of a true organization like some other organizations such as Myztro is. You know, it seemed to be more of a family type of, and more of a team than actually an organization. So,
yes.
What was 2Z actually, and how did it end as well? Because after that, you guys separated for 2v2 and had just a bunch of teams without. Yeah, it was just teams. It wasn't any organization. So yeah, what happened to 2Z?
So to Z, it was just we were looking for a name to represent ourselves on QuakeCon, and Latromi said to us, "Look, I was playing with my father in a team when I was small with the name 2Z, and he just like explained to us that it's like kind of his family name, and he wanna make this like World Champions or something before QuakeCon, and his story was such sweet that we couldn't refuse it. And he also, like his girlfriend, I think, made logo for us, and he said he will like get his friend to make hoodies and everything. So like, how can we refuse it? It's just for us, it was just we as four were having fun, and that's it. But yeah, it wasn't like a professional organization. We still had talks with some organizations and so on. It was just a fun team name with some nice history for Latromi, and that's also the reason why the trophy we won on QuakeCon he took to his father, like to his family. So Latromi is holding our trophy from 2017.
Cute. All right, so after Sacrifice, the main mode was 2v2. And so the first teammate that you had for a LAN tournament was Toxjq at DreamHack Tours. So what was it like playing with Toxjq? Because he seems to be the type of guy that doesn't talk much. He seems to be a bit reserved, I would imagine. So yeah, well, what was it like playing with Toxjq?
So initially, I wanted to play with Avak, since we always are playing together, but he was in Virtus Pro with Cypher. So he said to me just to go to play with someone else. He's with Cypher, like he can't, like, you know, it's like organization and so on. So after that, I just messaged Tox and asked him about his plans. He said that probably Noctis won't play anymore, so he's free and we can like try to play something. So I just started to play with Tox, and it was going pretty good, but yeah, communication wasn't perfect. And I felt that I have to call a lot, like a lot more than I did in Sacrifice. Even though in Sacrifice I called a lot, in my opinion, even more than in 2v2, but my role in Sacrifice weren't that fight heavy as in 2v2, because in 2v2 you still have to maintain your own skill level and so on. But I think in the end it worked not bad. Like back if I would rewatch the VOD when we lost to Silencep and Clawz in tours, it feels that just Clawz like played out of his mind. Like I don't feel that we did bad or something was wrong. Yeah, we had communication issues, but we did our best, and like I don't regret playing with Tox or anything. It was fun time. Johan is a great guy and great teammate, and it was really fun to play with him.
Yeah.
And after DreamHack Tours, we just because initially like after we split ways with Latromi, because Latromi still said that he's committed to work, he doesn't have much time. That's why I like started playing with Johan initially. We were like talking that if CTF will be a thing, we will stick 4 together, like me, Tox, Clawz, and Silencep. That was like our idea, because back then we still were thinking that CTF is a thing, and we were hearing that 4v4 still will be a thing. But unfortunately it weren't, so we stick to 2v2, and pretty much we just were in DreamHack Tour sitting and drinking post-tournament, and we said like, let's maybe split teams and try some different variations, maybe it will work better, since we were like kind of family. Like we still have probably like team chat where we sometimes speak together. And we tried Silencep with me and Clawz with Tox, and everyone was satisfied, so we decided to stick with it. And I'm happy with the change. I think with Silencep it was really like cool experience to play. I think he's like best team player I ever played with, so it was like honor for me to play with him.
So from what I remember, back at DreamHack Tours, you mostly practice through, I'm not sure to call it, private scrims, I guess. It was just you, so you and Toxjq against Clawz and Silencep, and you try not to show strategies, and I remember that you would not really stream those matches. So what was the idea behind this approach of, yeah, was it something that came naturally, or did you guys really think it through? Yeah, what's the story behind those private scrims? Because what's interesting about it is that it was very different to what Team Liquid did, because Team Liquid would basically stream every matches that they did if they weren't afraid of hiding anything. So yeah, what was the idea behind this choice?
So it's more like it's already was a stage where, for example, Clawz were lazy, so he wanted only to play versus best teams. So we were always like playing 2 hours versus Clawz and Silencep. But me and Tox, of course, were adding some other scrims to our schedule, but we like just didn't stream it as much. But I still think we like stream some online tournaments and so on. So it's just like easier to communicate like openly and talk about like some inside things when you play like off stream. Because like on stream you can say something, people will make drama out of it. It's and like that's the approach we also had into Z. But into Z we like couldn't release we still even can't release our VODs, which we had, because like we talking so much shit there. We will release it, we'll get banned forever, so it's impossible to show it.
So was it a bit of a wake-up call? Because it seems like after DreamHack Tours, the 2v2 scene had nothing to do with what it was before. It seemed like it was much more coherent. Because the good thing is that during 2v2, during the DreamHack Tours, and then the following 2v2 tournaments, we got to hear the comms from every team, and it was very interesting because that way we got to compare Team Liquid and their absolutely flawless communication with all the codes that they had to refer to something in just one word. Like, for example, danger, which would mean that there's a totem at the end of a TP, or you take, instead of, and they would immediately know what they're talking about. And the fact that it was always consistent, that there was never a single time during the matches where a single one of them would not be talking. And then we had some moments where, I think it was also in Clawz and Silencep during the final, where they got into the comms of them, and for like 30 seconds there was actually zero communication. So did that affect you, seeing Team Liquid and their communication? Was that something that you had already tried to reproduce? Was it something that you had your own approach towards, or was it something that you sort of discovered and realized the importance of after DreamHack Tours?
Since I'm like originally CS player, I always value comms a lot and communication, and I'm trying to speak as much as I can personally. Sometimes it's not working as good and so on, but anyway, trying to push myself and improve myself in that way. And yeah, like teams starting to realize that, well, maybe comms are more valuable than even your focus on your own crosshair, right? But I still think that kinda old school players for some reason have a struggle of talking and shooting in the same time. I don't know why, but it's like common thing. If you will watch VODs of like a lot of European players, you can see that like somebody asking them a question, their teammate, and this guy can't answer it until he like finishes the fight, which is quite funny for me because I just don't understand how it happened. But I think the biggest improvement is Tox, which since like DreamHack Tours with time was showing that he's improving that, and like when he already teamed up with Cooler, he was like really not of course on Liquid level of communication, but on pretty solid one. And so yeah, I think Liquid were setting up some standard and people were trying to improve because of that standard, and it was pretty cool because it also made the European scene more competitive because everyone was trying to like catch Liquid. So it was nice like time, because even though I didn't win anything at that time, it was fun to practice because it's always fun when there's like big competition around.
So after DreamHack Tours, you got to join Myztro Gaming. So what was the story behind this? How did you join it? Because I was quite surprised about it, because I heard that you already had your own organization with 2Z. So did they approach you? Did you approach them?
Me and Silencep just registered for some online tournament with nickname Looking for Org. That was our team name or something. And after that, Myztro contacted us, and then we spoke, negotiated, and signed contract. And probably 3 days after that, Avak is coming to me and saying, "Look, Virtus Pro wanna sign you to play with me in 2v2." I'm like, too late, brother. I'm sticking with Silencep, and he went to play with Kilson to BAG. So that's how it happened. But like, no regrets. It was fun time playing with Kyle, and Myztro is also a very good organization. So I have like no bad blood with them.
So did it make a difference for you being under a proper organization?
Honestly, I don't think so. Like, it's just cool if you getting some extra, let's say, somebody taking care of you or supporting you, but in the end, in the game, it doesn't matter, so it's not a big deal.
So for the final 2v2 tournament that we had at DreamHack Winter 2018, you got to play with Clawz. So how did that decision also came? Because from what you said, it seemed like it was actually fine playing with Silencep.
So it was pretty weird decision, which I didn't even know happened. So initially, me and Silencep went to QuakeCon together, to bootcamp, like 5 days before QuakeCon, and Silencep got really sick. So he like was just laying in bed. He got some shots in his ass. I don't know, like he was like really fucked up. He couldn't move. He couldn't play, and like I like Kyle. I respect him as a player, but like on QuakeCon it was like disaster performance from us, because like he just simply was dead. He was like not able to even talk normally, and that was really sad, because I think that with Silencep our preparation was really good, and our champion pool was really good, because his skill was like unreachable in my opinion, and because of the skill we had upper hand over most of the teams, but it all in the end didn't matter, because he just got sick and we fucked up. And after that, like, I don't wanna like ever blame Kyle, as I said, and I like him, but like he got really sad because of all these circumstances, because he also put a lot of time and effort into tournament, and it just became some unlucky circumstances for him in the end. And he just said to me at some point, like before DreamHack Winter, I don't remember, like 2 months or something, that Luke, like Sparty leaving Myztro because his contract ends, I gonna move to Razy, and we will get Clawz, and you will play with Clawz, communicate in Russian, and so on. And I'm like, if it's fine for you, like, okay. So it was pretty much Silencep idea. He said that he thinks it will be better for me and for Clawz if we'll play together and communicate in Russian. So I said okay, and I also thought it's a great idea. But in the end, it was kind of same story as DreamHack 2017. It was situations which I didn't like, kinda, because we just didn't play much. We played a lot last maybe 2 weeks, and our scrim results were pretty good versus any teams, but still it just felt like something is missing. And for example, there were situations, I don't know if you was following, but there was some grudge match between Clawz and Weird in Quake Live, because Weird was claiming that Clawz is... Yeah, so imagine I have a scream appointed and Clawz is telling me that instead of screaming before DreamHack Winter 2 weeks, he will go play a grudge match with Weird. So I don't know what to do. I'm just like messaging Avak, and I'm playing Scream with Avak instead of Clawz, because, and like these moments were kinda hurting me deeply inside, and in the end I think it didn't work. And even though I felt pretty confident coming into tournaments that we will do well, but I personally, I think individually, I just fucked up the tournament. I didn't play well, and I don't know, just nothing was working on. So it's not much to say about that tournament. It was just terrible.
Alright.
Still was top 8, but I think we could have been a lot better than that, so that's why I count it as terrible.
Was there a player that you would have dreamed of playing with, that you, or not necessarily dream, but that you think would have made for a very nice duo in 2v2?
Avek. I think it would be fun to play with Avek. We still play a lot, even now with him. If there is some 2v2 online tournament, we play for fun. And even though we are losing online a lot, it doesn't matter. Avek is good on LAN, and we're always in a great mood, so it's fun to play with him.
Alright.
Other than him, I think Bus Driver is a great player. Like, he is definitely fun to play with, so I think this is like two players that probably I would have the most fun to play with.
So one thing I'm wondering, and that I keep on asking myself, is about 2v2 and Team Liquid, because they won the 3 2v2 LANs that we had, and it's like at every LAN that they had, it seemed like their victory was more and more convincing. Like at DreamHack Tours, there were some very close maps. There also were some close maps at QuakeCon 2018, but from what I remember at DreamHack Winter 2018, they won. Yeah, like there was absolutely no doubt that they were the winners. So do you think that at some point a team, maybe you and somebody else or anyone else, do you think somebody could have actually stood up and beat Team Liquid in 2v2?
I think that to beat team like Team Liquid, first of all you need to find partner with who you can communicate freely. And then you need to play together and not split, because in Europe it was always switching teams here and there, and so you need to build chemistry again, you need to make callouts again, you need to get used to each other, and it feels like, you know, you always start from the like clean shit, and like Liquid already were ahead. Like I remember initially I started playing 2v2 with Avek in December 2017. Because we saw that Liquid already like streaming some 2v2, so we were assuming that maybe some 2v2 happening. We started to play, and initially like it was fun for me to play with Avek, but then yeah, Avek had to play with Cypher, with Split. Like it's hard to say what if would happen if this and that, but clearly to beat Liquid you need some duos that would play together for quite some time, like at least I think 2 months of like good practice. Like good practice, I mean, for me good practice is always just constantly playing like 3-4 hours in the evening. I think it's a good practice because it's not too much, and other time you can spend to maybe theory craft or watch some VODs, but playing like 3-4 hours is I think enough.
So yeah, let's talk about theory crafting. How do you go about it? Is it something that you just like during the day, I don't know, you like cooking food and you come up with some great idea and write it, or is it something that you do like actively while being concentrating on the game?
Well, it depends. Like crazy ideas usually just happens randomly. Sometimes you can just play some public game free for all. Like okay, our Quake on strats that we won with on Logbox. We always had issues with Logbox, and back on QuakeCon 2017 all teams were playing same composition, like Sorlag, Anarchy, Slash and Nyx, right? It was like fastest heroes, all good, hardest to hit kinda, and everyone was happy. And we never could win anyone on Logbox, and like 2 weeks before event I was playing just free for all, and I was playing Logbox, and I was just going to Teleporter and getting wrecked by Galena totems. Just people on pubs were stacking Galena totems on Teleporter exit on top of the rail, and I couldn't get rail. And just before one of the screams I said, guys, I will not play Nyx, because Nyx is trash on this map. I'll play Galena, and I'll just FK on top and stack Teleporters on rail so they can get rail. And Latromi was against it, we had some beef as well, but I said, okay, let me try it one map and see how it goes. So pretty much whole map I was just FK in nailgun room, spamming nailgun into teleporter and putting totems on rail. And it worked. After that we never lost any single logbox on practice, and on QuakeCon it also worked versus Liquid and versus Noctis team. So yeah, sometimes just some random ideas can happen and it can work, like out of nowhere.
Yeah, that is a really fun story. Do you have any other like secrets or techniques that you had developed or found And that I guess you wouldn't mind sharing now that those game modes are not really played competitively anymore?
Yeah. Okay, so before 2017 QuakeCon, of course, spawn systems was the most important thing, because for some reason teams, like, for me personally it was a shock because a lot of teams were calling us exploiters for knowing the spawn system. But when I think about it, how can you blame someone for knowing the spawn system? If there is $1 million tournament on the line, go to fucking custom server and look for the spawns, right? Prepare for it. And that's what we did. Like, we spent like maybe 2-3 hours on custom servers where we just were trying to understand how spawns works. And we realized that if the guy is staying on specific area, he is denying all spawns around him. So we had positions in defense that if we are all 4 alive, if we are killing our opponent, they're gonna spawn as far as possible from our obelisk. Like, for example, on DM6 there is point on, like, it's easier example, on the heavy. Instead of heavy armor, there is point where we were defending. And opponents can spawn on bridge if you don't have anyone under bridge, for example. So of course, if you are defending and your opponents are spawning on bridge, you're not gonna defend it for a long time because they spawn fresh with full HP. And we just had positions which were denying closest spawns on each base, and that's why our defense was that good. And on opposite side, opponents probably didn't know it, and sometimes, personally, because I was playing useless Nyx at that point, because Nyx really in Sacrifice was the weakest champion. Pretty much all my job was to take power up with my ability, and outside of power up I can't even use my ability because I have to save it for power up. I was just fighting people, and sometimes people were leaving me low HP and starting to chase me. And I was just running away even though I have to attack, and because they were chasing me, they were like leaving pretty much area where we can spawn to re-attack. So on practice it was looking that, let's say my opponent's defending bridge on the M6, and for some reason, instead of keep holding bridge, they started chasing me to finish the kill on quad. They kill me on quad and I spawn on bridge near their point full HP. And like, such tricks were making a difference. It always felt that teams were saying that they are getting outnumbered when they play against us, because we simply knew like when to die and how to reset ourselves. We also never were shy to reset. Like, items in Quake Champions in the beginning didn't mean much, so there was no point waiting for Mega 5 seconds to get plus 50 HP over stack, because you anyway gonna die in Sacrifice if somebody will hit you no matter what. This Mega will not help you. So we had rules to never wait for item at all, because what's the point of waiting 5 seconds for the item? Just die, and then if you respawn, pick up that item. Like, don't waste time. It was like golden rule. Never waste time, just always forward. And that's how we played. And we always had the thing that if somebody is low HP, he's saying, I just gonna feed, I gonna suicide, refresh, get full HP. And I think we really were managing it in a good way. And also, funny story from scrims was when there was map Burial Chamber and I was playing Clutch. And Clutch was a big tank and his starting HP was pretty huge. And when I was 20 HP, instead of going to menu and killing myself, I was just jumping out of the map. And my opponents were asking, why are you jumping off the map all the time? They didn't even realize. And I was just saying that my movement is bad. I don't know how to move. And they were believing me. They were laughing, man, your Clutch is shit. But they just didn't even know what am I doing. And it was pretty funny for me, because it felt that at some moments, like before Quake, we were like so ahead of meta that we could just do whatever we want. So it was really fun time for me. Another fun story is we had a strat which was probably also different, like making us different from other teams, that all teams were prioritizing power-ups to get power-up and make a play with it. And our power-up play were that I go alone to power up 1v4, and my team's supposed to get the soul control. If we have the soul control, we can put more people to power up. But if enemy has the soul, 3 of my teammates capturing the soul and bringing it to our base or hiding with it. And I supposed to get power up 1v4. And that was the funniest thing, that Latromi was blaming me for not getting power up 1v4. And it came to the point where we were sitting on custom server for like 1 or 2 hours, and I was trying to get power up 1v3 versus Latromi, Silencep, and Clawz, until I learned how does it even work, how to secure power up, because it also had a specific system that power up, because there were like a lot of people standing on same spot, right? And the guy who had highest speed always got the power up. So I had to pick up power up and do some moves like strafe or something. And I learned it, and on QuakeCon it made really huge difference, because in every match, Nyx versus Nyx, I was picking power up out of like my opponent's nose, and they never knew like why it happened. Because we studied game, we like put time in practice. I knew like why am I doing it, and people were salty and saying that it's lag, but I knew it's not lag because we just studied the game. So that I think was most like funny exploits, how people called it, that we learned. And well, of course there are a lot of people that were accusing us in Parkinson LG, but guys, back on QuakeCon 2017, I played with 63 centimeters for 360, so I wouldn't even be able to Parkinson. And that's another story, that I realized that there is Parkinson in the game before DreamHack Denver. And I was like, oh my god, I can't do this Parkinson LG because my sensitivity is too low. And before DreamHack Denver, I increased my sensitivity for like 50% to be able to Parkinson LG. And one day before tournament they patched it, and I was already in fucked up stance, and I just came to the event and lost it. So that's like the funniest stories from me, like from 2017.
Wow, that is also spicy. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so after DreamHack Winter 2018, there was a bit of a stale period of Quake Champions, probably the longest stale period that we had ever since the starting of the esports scene of Quake Champions. And basically, so between the December where we had DreamHack Winter 2018 and QuakeCon, which was summer, well, this summer, there was pretty much nothing. I mean, there were a few tournaments. Dude organized some little online tournaments, but there was, yeah, nothing, no major tournaments. And so during this time, a lot of the players started playing other games. And so one of the games that you played and participated a bit in is Apex Legends. So what was like playing Apex Legends? Is it something that you really enjoyed, that you would have thought of maybe going full-time in if there were no Quake, or was it just a fun battle royale for you?
So I played Apex Legends when it was released, like February I think. And I was just playing it for fun with Juvenile and Leeds pretty much. Like also Quakers, we were just playing it for fun, even won some ESL tournament or something. So, but like it was just a BR where like there is no custom games, there are still no custom games, only on LANs and so on. So we didn't take it seriously, we were just playing for fun. Then Cypher messaging me and saying, look, wanna play Twitch Rivals with me? If we like win, we qualify to TwitchCon in Berlin. It's like free money and so on. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So because of some circumstances, Cypher couldn't launch the game. We got substitute instead of him. It was me, Clawz, and another Belarusian player, which in the end didn't get visa. So we played with stand-in on TwitchCon, and we didn't do great there because we were like with some streamer guy, so he's not like even professional player playing Apex, so it was kind of not best performance, but we still like managed to get like top 15 and got some good money. So before that, Cypher and Clawz asked me if I wanna play with them professionally because they split with Cooler, and I said yeah, let's do it. And before this TwitchCon, Clawz pretty much told me that look, we got signed to Navi, and third player will be signed later. And I'm like, what the fuck? We like agreed to play together and so on. And like he was giving me pretty weird answers, so I just called Cypher and asked Cypher, what the fuck is going on? And Cypher is telling me, look, me and Clawz decided that you are not good enough, we will play with some other guy. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And so after that I didn't like, of course I didn't play with them after that, because they took other guy and went to Navi. And I personally just played for fun for a few more weeks with friends, but after that I already knew about Quake Pro League and so on, so I decided to just focus more on Quake, and they focused on Apex and their things.
Alright. So another game that you seem to have played a bunch on of that, well, clearly didn't have the same success as Apex Legends is Splitgate. So you participated in a bunch of tournaments in Splitgate with Bus Driver, from what I remember, and Zoot even casted some of it, which was quite nice to see. So yeah, let's talk a bit about Splitgate. How did you start playing this game? How did you stumble upon this game, and what made you like it, basically?
So it was just a game which Bus Driver, I think, played for fun with me for like few hours, and then he said there is some tournaments and that he wanna participate in it. It was some $50K tournament, I think, even, but unfortunately it was NA only, so we couldn't participate in it. And after that they did like worldwide tournament, because ping didn't matter in that game much, so we could play on NA with 110 ping. It was same thing. And I just played some, I don't even know how it was called, like pre-season weekly tournament or something.
Divergence?
I just played on, yeah, I played only one tournament and we won it, and after that I didn't play the game, so I don't really know. And I practiced for that tournament like a few hours only. I think like there was not much players playing, so competition was pretty low. But any team mode is fun for me, because I don't know, I just like playing team modes. It's fun to have fun with friends and do some crazy things. And I think Splitgate is a good game overall, if they would, I don't know, make it a bit faster maybe, because movement feels pretty slow in that game, and I don't know what are they doing with game right now, but it doesn't look that promising right now. I don't even see any tournaments or something, but maybe if they will like polish the game and make it better and there will be some tournaments, maybe I'll come back, like, we'll see.
Do you think it has the potential to be a real esports? Do you think it has enough depth for it?
Well, if Apex Legends is real esports right now, then any game can be real esports. Because if BRs are esports, then why not?
Yeah. So, you know, let's talk about Duel, because we didn't get to talk much about Duel. So, in 2018, you had some very impressive online results. So as I said at the very beginning, you won one season of the Quake Open Elite League, and you won the B18 Invitational, which was a very stacked online tournament. But when we got offline tournaments during the second half of 2018, so we got PGL and DreamHack Winter, your results were, well, quite poor compared to what you had in 2017, for instance. So yeah, because in PGL you got top 32 and in DreamHack Winter top 24. So what's the story behind those tournaments? Because I imagine it was a bit disappointing for you.
So in Duel I never like kinda practiced. All my practice in Duel was always playing online tournaments, because I think competitive environment is best practice. And in 2017 it was enough. In 2019 I thought it also will be enough, but back when I look on it right now, I just did like a lot of stupid things. Like on PGL, before PGL I won this online challenge, like Quake Pro League thing, not Quake Pro League, Quake Open League thing. And back if I will rewatch that, I was picking DK every game and one-shotting people, like playing the meta, playing like what's the strongest. And on LAN, I had some thought in my head that fire is dodgeable, I can dodge that, I can play different, and I think I was just overthinking game, because it was first only duel tournament for me, and I was just, I think, overthinking game. Like, I was always coming to all tournaments before that in 2017, where I did top 8 in duel, with kinda easy like mindset that I don't even care what happens because I'm not dueler. And in PGL I felt that, ooh, I can do something, I can beat anyone, I'm doing great. And it was just wrong. Like, I did pretty poorly. I didn't know what to do when I can't hit anything, because sometimes you just have a bad day, you can't hit anything, you need to deal with it. And in team modes I have like some basics and I know what to do even when I have a poor game. In duel I just didn't know what to do, and I lost first game to Sirius, like pretty convincingly, I think, like 2-0. And then in loser bracket my next game was Kilsen, and that game I played well. Like, I remember I lost like 3-2 on decider map, so it was really close. But I still feel like I drafted bad. If I think about it, I didn't pick DK. I just don't even know what was going in my head back then. It feels like I just didn't play the way I used to play, because I started to overthink the game. And after that, it was Italy tournament, where I also performed. Well, I wanna say I performed bad, but on the other hand, Venger performed really well. So it's hard to say, did I perform really bad or Venger just played out of his mind? It's like hard to say what happened there. So that was like only dual tournaments, and yeah, I fucked them up. And I expected myself to do better, and I didn't play the way I played online. And these tournaments made me think that I have a lot of things to work, like from mental side, that I need to like not tilt. I need to know what am I doing when I don't hit anything. I need to be more solid in like my basics, just not rely on like hitting rails only and so on.
So yeah, so you were talking about tilting, and it is something that I find very impressive about you, is that you seem to pretty much never tilt. And you seem to be the type of player, that's what Adu was saying just yesterday when talking about your match with Kilson, that really takes things with a smile. And that unlike players such as DreamHack, for example, who seems to tilt quite a lot, you seem to always stay calm and relaxed. So was that a result of those disappointing results at the end of 2018 in Duel, or was it something that you basically always managed to do, staying calm in not being mad during your important matches?
So in real life, I was playing tennis professionally for a lot of years, like until I hit 17, 18. So I learned from that emotions usually is not something good in any competitive environment. Of course, you can get like angry in a good way in a competition, that it will make you perform better, but I'm just trying to get rid of any emotions and just take it like as it is. But this year was really hard for me, practice-wise, because as you said before, even in online tournaments I was doing well, winning everyone, and for this Quake Pro League, I said to myself, okay, I'm a dueler now, I'm gonna start playing practice games, I will take duel more seriously. And every day I played in Europe, I was getting wrecked by everyone. I couldn't hit anything, I was losing to players I would beat with closed eyes like a few months ago. I just didn't know like what's wrong, and it felt that I'm not playing that bad, I just didn't know what to do. And pretty much until QuakeCon I had this feeling. We had a bootcamp for like 20 days in NA with Avak. And after every day when we were like drinking beer or talking, I was just saying I don't know what to do. Like, I don't feel comfortable versus anyone. Like, I thought I will beat this player easily. He is wrecking me. I thought this. And I'm not showing emotions, but I have like some always, of course, emotions inside of me. And even, for example, last day of my practice in NA, I played versus the Hang and I lost super hard, and I like stopped playing like 1 hour before we agreed, and I messaged the Hang like, sorry, like I just too tilted to play, there is like no point to play anymore. And he just said to me that it does just like chill, there is like nothing to worry about, it's like on LAN it anyway will come to different things. And it's true, like on LAN it's totally different game, and trying now to stop care about internet results at all, because I think it influenced me in a bad way.
So during QuakeCon 2019, you were one of the few people who actually managed to beat Rapha. And Rapha seemed to be unstoppable at the end of 2018. So what are the other things that you think you managed to progress on and really get better in order to get that 2-0 that you got during the matches of QuakeCon 2019 against Rapha?
Well, I think that I overall became better player on the tournament because I just was gaining confidence with every win. Like, as I stated online, I was losing every single game and my confidence was close to the 0 because I just wasn't sure what's gonna work on LAN. But on LAN I was like, okay, these things that never worked for me online are finally working, and it felt that I'm like online when I did a good move, I wasn't rewarded for it. It was always some counterplay, and on LAN it felt if I do good move, I'm getting rewarded. If enemy doing good move, he's getting rewarded. Felt like more fair, I don't know how to explain, and it was for me easier to understand the game because everyone played more careful and slower on LAN, I think, which also helped me. And I think in game versus Rapha specifically, I think he did not the best draft for himself. He picked Slash and Nyx, and I picked medium champions. Because in online games, light champions were clearly like superior at some maps. But on LAN, LG was hitting a lot harder, so you could stop these light champions. Like, I could stop his Slash from engaging on me and so on. It just felt easier to defend yourself on LAN. And I think it played into my favor. And like, I was surprised I managed to beat his Slash on the M6. It was really surprising for me. And also, before game versus him, I lost to Chain, so I also was again not sure like what to do, how to play. But it felt that like in Quake Champions, everyone is like, I can't say on the same level, but if you like underrate or underperform some opponent, you can lose to anyone. So that's what I like in Rapha. He has this approach that he respect every opponent. He always like coming calm to his games and like playing his best no matter versus who he play. Even if he'll play versus some bot, he will play his best. And I'm trying to also get this approach, and I think it's really important to have it, especially in Duel right now.
So also one big difference with QuakeCon 2019 was that it was the first time that we had time limit Duel instead of round-based, instead of the round-based system that we had throughout 2017 and 2018. So what was it like for you, the transition going from rounds to time?
Honestly, it doesn't feel that it's much different. The way game goes, you still have like refrags and abilities which influence the game a lot. But I like it because now draft process is a lot more important. So people who have a big champion pool can have advantage over people who play like, let's say, extremely good like 2-3 champions. You can like ban it, outpick and so on. And you can like not only outplay your opponent but also outdraft him. And I like this part. I think it adding some depth into a game. Of course, sometimes you will see matches where like Nosfa showed versus Venger, like on Blood Run, that he did one frag and ran away for 10 minutes because his champion is faster. But that's also like a draft mistake from Venger, right? So I overall like that they added this big ban system. It's adding like cool factor to the game. But around Duel to compare to time limit, it didn't change much. I'm pretty sure we still have same top players like before. It didn't change much, in my opinion.
Are there any changes that you would like to see in time-based Duel? Because there are two complaints that I often see about the game mode. The first one is the sudden death that a lot of people would prefer to, just like it was in Quake Live, which is overtime with 2 minutes, and then at the end of the 2 minutes, if there's still a draw, 2 more minutes, etc., until at the end of one session of 2 minutes, one of the players has more points. So yeah, the overtime, some people complain about it. And the second complaint that I often see is about spawn killing. And there seems that some people that really like it, as I feel like once you're in control, you really get to take advantage of being in control. You really get to be rewarded when you not know the spawns. And then some people complain about it, thinking that it's a bit unfair because it means like some free kills. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the overtime and spawn killing?
So overtime, I don't think it's a big deal, in my opinion. It doesn't matter much. But about spawns, I was also giving it as my feedback. I would prefer random spawns at all, because right now in Quake, I always know where my opponent spawns, and it feels kinda unfair. But on the other hand, he has same ability to always know where I spawn, right? When he is playing, like, or he killing me. And also you can delay spawns still, which can be good or bad. You can like pick situations when to delay spawns to get a bit other spawn based on your opponent movement. So right now, probably it's even more fair because it's not random. So everyone is in like same conditions. Like if you wanna get better, just learn all the spawns and abuse it, right? But I think it just doesn't look that nice sometimes on streams when you see like people like spawn killing and all of this. That's why I think I would prefer the random one, because random one would be just maybe not as fair for players, but it would be fun for viewers that, like, you know, we had like in old Quake situations that you did a frag, you survived on 10 HP, and the guy just spawns in front of you, you know, and nothing you can do. And I think such moments are very tilting for players, but they're very like dramatic and fun for viewers. Of course, some people will hate it who cheer for player who got unlucky situation, but I think in the long run, it's more like fun for the show and entertaining, and also then you don't have to think that much about abusing spawns and so on.
So now talk about the map pool. So one map that seems to be often complained about is Blood Run. And one of the complaint for it is, from what because I talked with Razy, it was a while ago, it was at ESWC 2018, and he told me that the big problem with Blood Run is sound, and that you can basically hear the enemy everywhere in the map. And so that way you can just camp in a spot and know exactly where he's going to come from, and that way you know exactly where you should exit to not be caught by that enemy. So yeah, what do you think about Blood Run? Because also one thing I found, so I don't know, like it's worth what it's worth, but according to Plus Forward, Plus Forward, Blood Run is your weakest map. So yeah, generally speaking, just talking about the map pool. Well, yeah, what do you think of it?
I just don't like it, because yeah, it feels that if you are in advantage, you can just run away with it, because you always hear your opponent attacking you no matter what. And I also, like, it's a new game. I don't think that old maps in a new game is like greatest idea, so I'm always big fan of new maps.
Okay.
But I don't like feel like some big issue playing Blood Run right now or Blood Covenant. Like, it has some good sides, but for example, I enjoy Blood Covenant. I think it's a great map, but Blood Run, it's really hard for me to play. It's really it feels this map is a test for your mental game, because when you are in disadvantage and you know that you have to do a frag and you drafted bad, not much you can do. You need to just hope your opponent will make some mistake or something. But I honestly, all new maps that Quake did in Duel, like Awoken, Molten, I really love it, and I just hope they will make some new map and put it instead of Bloodrun or something, because I like Awoken, I like Molten. Maybe I don't like that they changed Teleporter on Awoken, so now it's so easy to rail the LG room. But it's adding some effect to the map, like if they designed it like that, whatever. It's like, I'm taking it as a player, I'll adjust to anything, but it's definitely not fun for me to play ZTN compared to other maps. ZTN, I mean Bloodrun.
Alright. So now, one of our final topic. So I want to talk about the latest update that we had, the full update. So they changed a lot about the sound. They had like basically a good dozen of PTS where they kept on adding new changes to how the sound system works by making, like for example, ambient noises quieter, by adding some spawn sounds, I think, by reducing the sound of your own weapon, increasing the sound of your enemy's weapon. Like they basically reworked completely the sound. And so, what has been your experience with it? What are your thoughts on it? Because sound has always been one of the main complaints from professional players about Quake Champions.
So, you were speaking before about Bloodrun, and that because you hear all map, it's way too easy to plus back. So in this patch, they reduced the like distance on which you hear your opponent or like noises, and they reduced it by like 20% or something. So maybe it will make maps like Bloodrun better to play, since you will not hear whole map from any point of the map. But it requires more testing. Like, I personally didn't play much on this patch yet, so I can't say is it better or worse, but I personally like the change that they reduced the distance of pickups, because now you can't just FK in the middle on the map and hear everything. I think it will work on ZTN, on Awoken, because on Awoken also people always just get top of the map and they hear everything. And now if it won't work like that, I think it's a healthy change, which will make some more aggressive moves more beneficial. The only thing I don't like, because they reduced all this ambient sound, it feels a bit empty in my heart when I'm playing Quake.
Alright.
I don't hear like rain, I don't hear like LG buzz that much. I'm already missing it a bit.
Oh,
I don't think that ambient sound was that bad. Like, I think it was some kind of atmospheric, I guess.
Well, I'm sure the sound designers of the game would be really happy to hear you say that. So another change that they did, which, well, I got to play a bit after the patch, and I really didn't notice it that much. I was wondering if you did, but they changed the hitboxes slightly. I think like they added some batting and made them a bit bigger, and to compensate, they reduced the width of the LG beam. Did you notice that as well? Did that make some changes in your experience?
I noticed that Kilson was hitting everything against me yesterday, and I didn't. So maybe they really increased it, but it's hard to say yet. I feel that nail gun is a lot easier to hit now.
Alright.
And rails feels more consistent. Like, it doesn't feel that shots go through. But it's really hard to say, because just need more testing for me personally. But of course, if they really increased hitboxes, it means that it will be easier to hit, and it might change balance quite a lot, because when it's easier to hit, it can be kind of two-sided. First of all, maybe tanks will be able to hit versus lights a lot more, so tanks will become like stronger plus, or it will be opposite, tanks will be so easy to hit now that lights will be like a bit stronger. So I think it's like the only thing they should worry about, because right now balance is not bad. Like on Quake Pro League, most of champions being picked, like really I think almost every champion getting picked, especially after stroke buff, and it's a good sign for the game if all heroes being played. So I just hope that these changes will not mess up this balance.
Yeah. So one character that got changed quite a lot is Strog, and so he got the crouch slide, which from what I understand is similar to the one that Slash has, but a bit weaker, as in it doesn't last as long. So you got to play with Strog yesterday against Skillson, and well, you didn't do that great, but at least you seem to have had fun on the character. So yeah, what are your thoughts on Strog? Do you think it's going to be a very meta character, because it didn't really seem to be that before the crowd side, at least?
So when I was picking my champions versus Skillson, I was just like, okay, it's DM6 and I can pick or Strog or Slash. And I went to custom game on PTS and checked if I can do bridge to rail on Strog, and I managed to do it, and I'm like, okay, I'm picking Strog. I'm doing this ballsy play. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but I think he has potential. But with new hitboxes, I just wasn't expecting that I will be hit so much, because when you play as Slash, you sometimes can like jump kinda careless, you know, because you have very high speed.
Yeah.
And on Strog it doesn't work like that. He is a lot slower than Slash still, so even though he can go around corners a lot faster now than mediums, on like open territory, you better don't slide because you're such an easy target that... But I think it's possible to find a good playstyle for Strog, and I think he will be picked now, at least by players like Toxjq for sure, and I will also like not give up. I'll try to play around him. Maybe I'll find some good playstyles or some maps that he will do well. So it's just about practicing and grinding right now.
Also, regarding the hitbox, one thing I noticed, I don't know if you got to see it, but so we got to see most of the match through Killson's perspective, and one thing I noticed is that Strog doesn't seem to have a crouch sliding animation like Slash does, and like Slash's crouch sliding animation seems to be very flat and makes her, well, much more difficult to hit. Whereas Strog, basically, since he doesn't have one, he's just like in the position that he always is when he crouches. So he's just like a big ball, and so I feel like that's probably also why you got LG to death so much, because yeah, when you crouch slide right now, since we didn't have an animation, you just get fucking destroyed.
Well, maybe that's the reason I got wrecked so hard, because I never played against Strog, so I don't even know
yeah, well, now I guess you know. I'm glad I get to give you an information, and I don't know to what extent it's good information, but yeah, there you go.
It's like sometimes I gotta learn it in a hard way, but at least now I'm actually gonna recheck the VOD because I didn't want to. After yesterday's game, I knew there's nothing to see there. But maybe now I'm just gonna take a look or play versus someone who plays Strog to really like decide should I pick it again or should I hold it as my secret weapon for next LAN. You never know.
So another character that you got to play and that I was always surprised because it's such a rare champion, it's probably like the rarest champion to see in competitive environment in Quake, is Scalebearer. So you seem to quite like that pick, especially on Molten Fall. So what's the decision behind this?
So initially it was just a troll champion, with which I love to play 2v2 because you just pummel on a high speed and you annoy your opponents. But for some reason it started to work really good in Duel, and I usually just was picking it because sometimes I don't want to practice anything, I just want to have fun in the game. And if I want to have fun, I want to play fun character, and right now the most fun character for me is Scalebearer. So I just started to pick it on any map versus anyone, and I felt that versus some matchups in some specific situation it has really good potential. So usually if I'm playing versus some champions that can't dodge my bull rush, it usually is a good pick. Like that's why I picked him versus Visor on Molten, and I think he has few more like really good matchups like on Ruins or on Veil. And a lot of people banning Scale against me, which is, I respect that. Respect ban, that's nice feeling.
So Since I got to watch a bunch of your games today when preparing this interview, another thing that I noticed is that you seem to, more often than the majority of players, you seem to leave items up and not take them so as to take them when you really need it and when you can really maximize the health or the armor they will give you. Whereas most players seems to have this approach of really like taking every item spot possible, so to make sure that the enemy doesn't have it. So what's your can you give me an insight on your mindset, on your choices regarding taking or not taking an item?
Well, I think it's every situation is kind of unique. It's hard to say in general what's going in my head when I play. But I often like to kinda bait my opponent into item and put myself in a better position. So in the end, or if I will hit enough, I will put him in a really bad spot or even make a frag. And if I will not hit anything, I just have better position. I can always back off to some other resources. Maybe also like sometimes I can like not pick up armors when I'm like missing 10 armor or something. I will not pick up small one. Usually it's because I'm thinking that I might trade rail right now, and after trading this rail fast, I want to maximize my like item pickup, so I will get like full 50 armor instead of like only 10. So I'm just trying to trade effectively and like out trade my opponent pretty much. That's what's going in my head, and maybe based on that I'm doing sometimes things that are not like, that doesn't look logical maybe or something, but that's what's going in my head.
So another thing I noticed, and that actually I hadn't noticed for quite a while, and that you're quite famous for, is your choices of skin, and the fact that you seem to always take some very how can I say it lightly, flashy, some very flashy skins, and always like the pink one with the flowers and all. Is there like so Ketchup was suggesting during your match against DreamHack on the scene at Quake 2019 that you maybe do this so that way the enemy like doesn't want to shoot at you. It's like it's so ugly I don't want to look at it. That's what he would say. Like, is that true? Is there some strategy behind the skins that you take, or is it just that you find them beautiful, just that you like it, and like it's what you're something you're known for as well?
It's more that I just find it beautiful. And I remember at one of the lands I was using all these flowers with pink things, and I think 04 messaged me and he said, I like your skin choice or something, and so I kept it. But usually it's just something that when somebody watching my skins, he should smile. That's all the logic behind it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Like, yeah, so it's like nothing special, just the most weird things, just putting it together and see what happens.
Also, one thing that's quite special about you is that you seem to cast a lot. Maybe not as much now, but I remember very often watching Zoot stream and you being the co-caster on the stream. Because yeah, like you've got very good analysis of the game, you've got very good English, you have some, you don't have any problem like talking and saying some really interesting stuff, as you've showed me during this interview. So is casting something that you would maybe think of dedicating yourself? I don't know, maybe later on, or is casting just like a bit of something that you try from time to time, or something that you maybe would one day become serious about?
I just like watching Quake, so it's not a big issue for me to cast matches because I anyway gonna watch it. And I just find it fun sometimes. And right now I'm casting Challenger League with Avak in Russian on my channel every Saturday. So whoever knows Russian can always like come to stream, ask questions. Avak Russian is brilliant, so it's always fun to speak with him. And yeah, when like I'm getting invited to do some casting work, I don't mind it. I think I casted even on QuakeCon 2018. Before that there were American finals of Quake Open League, and I was invited to cast it with Jahar in his beautiful gaming office. So yeah, I mean, I don't like I'm not trying to get it as my job, because obviously right now I wanna compete, and as long as I can play and compete and I find it fun, I wanna keep doing it for as much as I can. But later, who knows? Like, because it's also like fun for me to analyze games, just talk with people and say my thoughts, and people find it interesting sometimes. So it's also a fun process, and I don't mind doing it. But for now, I'm professional player and I'm sticking to it. But later we'll see.
So now we're going to the end of the interview, so I'm just going to ask you the few remaining questions that I didn't manage to like ask at the relevant times. So it's mostly questions that people wanted me to ask you, because I made a little post on Reddit where people could like ask you some questions. So let's talk about your rivals. So who do you consider as your Quake Champions rival? The number one. Like if your life was an anime, like, who would be the main opponent?
It's really hard to say, because before this QuakeCon 2019, I kinda had the thought that I won this or that guy on LAN or something. And after this QuakeCon, I think I won all players on LAN in Duel right now that are in Pro League.
Right.
Except Chain, pretty much. So it didn't be Chain yet, because I lost to him. But like, all players that are in Pro League right now, I had the LAN wins over them, so I'm kinda... And it feels that I always like play with different people, so it's kinda hard to say who is my rival. But... probably it will be or Cooler or Razy. I think that would be like two biggest rivals. I think... I would say Cooler, because I think for Razy it's more like I was his rival, because at some point he was like always losing to me for some reason. But right now it's different. Now I'm losing to him all the time for some reason. Or maybe Razy is even better option. It's hard to say. I think Razy or Cooler, like both these names.
Yeah. So who is the player that you're the most afraid of?
Afraid in what? Playing against?
Yeah, playing against.
Honestly, I think Kilson. Like, I always had a really hard matchup versus Kilson, and I always struggle versus him. Because he is very... It's like he's playing very slow when it's needed, and he really punishing, like anytime I'm trying to do something open, like he will punish it. He's like really tough for me to play against. So I would say probably Kilson.
Alright. So it has nothing to do, but somebody from the subreddit wanted me to ask you which earbuds you use.
I'm using Sennheiser IE4 on every LAN event with HyperX Cloud 2 sound card.
Alright.
Because I think it's really important to have same sound on LAN as at your home, so it's really good to use sound card if you're like playing professionally.
Yeah, good tip. So this is a very important question that probably the whole community wants to know. So who is Genji1? Who is this guy that the whole subreddit keeps on like acting about and being crazy for and making theories on who it is?
Well, I can't say it, but he's a great guy. That's all I can say.
Alright. Okay.
I'll not reveal Genji identity.
Alright. Alright. Okay, gotta keep the suspense for a few years apparently. and now my final question. So looking to the future, we've got this little game, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's called Diabotical. So, some people might refer to it from time to time. So yeah, first of all, I remember some people saying that that like players in Quake Pro League are not supposed to talk about other games, but seeing that Garpy is also competing in Apex Legend tournaments, I guess that was bollocks. So yeah, just simply running Diabotical. Well, we still don't know when it's going to release. It's supposed to release in 2019, but maybe it's probably going to get delayed once again. Would you imagine like one of the game, like either Diabotical failing and Quake Champions being even stronger, or Diabotical completely taking over Quake Champions, or maybe a world where both would coexist? What do you imagine the future of Diabotical to be like?
I think that any game that is released, it's healthy, because even if to look at BR games, right? There was H1D1, which was like the most popular BR and the only one, but only when PUBG and other BRs like Fortnite started to come out, started to become competitive, better and better. Because I think it's like in game, it's like a competition between developers. And I think that Diabotical and Quake can be same if Diabotical will be released. It's like if you release a game, it's you want to be best at it, right? You want to be best in your genre. So it will make like both games, I think, like fight each other. Not like fight, but improve, just improve game. So I think the more games we have, the more like competition we grow, and the better products are becoming in the end. So that's like my opinion. But yeah, I will for sure try Diabotical when it will come out. I don't know when this is gonna come out, but yeah, like if there will be some tournaments or something fun to do there, why not? But right now I'm playing Quake, but in future we'll see.
Okay. So final question. What are your predictions for the Luca tournament, for the next major LAN that we'll have for Quake Champions?
Honestly, I feel like Rapha is top 1 favorite, as always, since he is like super consistent and always doing great. Well, I think favorites are pretty same as in QuakeCon, since like patch didn't change that much of a balance. But on the other hand, the small changes to even hitbox or nail gun can change game a lot, because like we will see in the long run how it's gonna work. But yeah, I think favorites are pretty same as in QuakeCon, so it's Kilson, Cooler, Razy, Rapha, and of course there will be challengers, which can be like even Danda King was doing great in an A challenger. I think if Danda King gonna make it, he can like have a really good shot on like everything. So I think it's very unpredictable, because Luca format is like you come, you lose one game, you're out instantly. So you don't have room for mistake. It's a single elimination bracket. Like if you don't perform at the needed moment, at the needed like second, you're out. So I think it will be very hard mentally for a lot of players, and favorites are same like as in QuakeCon, but people from Challenger can make really good underdog story, coming all the way from the Challenger, wrecking everyone and getting like top 3. So looking forward to that too. I'm pretty sure we'll have like Cypher, Deep Run, maybe Danda King, Dewey, like serious. They're like challengers that can beat anyone, so we'll see.
So before we close this interview, do you have any final words? Do you have some shout outs?
Shout out to everyone who watched it, all interview. That was pretty long one, so it's a nice stamina and endurance. I wanna thank Quake Pro League for doing Quake Pro League and keeping Quake active. So, and I wanna thank to all the viewers who just coming to Quake stream, saying nice and bad things too. Haters are always welcome. So, thanks to everyone for watching, for cheering for Quake, and keep supporting Quake. Maybe we'll see some more great games in the future, more super LANs, QuakeCon 2020 World Championship. We'll see. All can be awesome.